Hello everybody, in this video here we're going to do a rainbow trout painting tutorial. First color, we want to use something dark, so my first color I'm going to use a black green. And this color is going to go on the top of the fish, really heavy at the top, and we're going to fade it down. This is a pretty light fish, so I'm not going to go much past the lateral line. I'll fade it down into that color. Once we have that on, our next color will be the bass belly white. And with the bass belly white, because this is a lighter fish, I'm going to do the belly real hard, which I do on most fish before, and then I'll go pretty much up to where that our black green ended, and we'll blend those together. Okay. So once I do that, I will put metallic colors down. I'll start using powdered colors. I'll use like a very light green and a silver color. So, depending on the brand, but this it's called Peak Yellow, but it's a really light green. And then our other color that I'll use is silver white. So depending on what you're using, they'll have different names. If you're using Pearl X powders, they're going to be a little different name. But I use a light green there on the top, and I'll use a silver white on the belly. And with these, I'll put them on, I'll seal them off, and then I'll go ahead and I'll probably put a little more of each color. I'll especially put a little more, 2 layers of the white. Scale tipping gives us different options. There are different ways of using scale tipping. You can use something, you can use like an acrylic, liquid scales, something like that. Now I use just an alcohol ink. I'll use like a silver alcohol ink, and I'll use a blender and I'll thin it down to where you need to be. So I don't really have anything showing this part, but I have just a couple of a different fish that I'm showing, but I'll show a quick part. But and I'll do a silver tipping on all of the scales. So I'm going to do the silver tipping on that, and then on the cheeks, we'll do that under where the red is. And that'll really make our cheeks pop. It'll give that metallic-y where the cheeks pop out. Okay. So once we have that done, the next color I'm going to use, I'm still going to go back to the powders for one more color. I'm going to use a bright red. And you just want to kind of match your reference. Depending on how red it is, this one's more of a pinkish red, so depending on what you see on your reference is how you want to match that color. Okay. Alright, the next color we're going to put on, I'm going to put on a little bit of light green. So we're back to That color we're just going to go over the back and tone it in. Next we're going to paint the spots. We're going to use a jet black, but I don't want to go solid jet black, so I'll use the nose pack gray mixed with that. So by doing that, instead of doing a solid black, this will just tone it down just a little bit. So we'll do that on everything. On all our spots, we'll save a little bit for our tail spots, but we'll mix that up, and we want it to be pretty thin to run through our airbrush. Okay, so when I looked at my reference photos, I noticed this one had a little lighter spot on his nose. So I went ahead and I whited that out, and I painted the spots back in, and I used pan pastels. I used a permanent red, and then I used the olive base, just to kind of get that coloration back to what I needed for my reference photos. I didn't include this on my color board, but as you paint any fish, you just kind of gotta look at your references, look at the picture you have of your fish, and just go off of that to kind of determine your final colors. Next thing we'll do, I will do our fins. So I will use candy gill red. So we're on our fins now. Candy gill red, and that'll go on most of our fins, our lower fins, a little bit on the bottom of our tail fin. Then to finish this off, we're going to use a medium green, and then we'll go back to a black green just to tone it, and then we'll put our spots on. So we'll need a medium green, medium, and a black green, and that'll tone our fins down, and that'll tone our top fins, and then we will put our spots on with the mixture that we have up here. And when we're painting these spots on our fins, we want to make sure your paint is very thin, and you want to have it blended pretty good. And it really depends on how thick your paint bottles are, but you're probably thinning at least 50%, and you're turning your air pressure way down. If not, if you're too thick, you're just going to have issues, and it's going to create issues as you paint. So you want it really thin, you want to spray it with as little air pressure as you can, and it'll work the best for you. Okay, now we have this fish pretty well finished, painted up. There's probably a couple little tweaks and stuff that we'll do as we look at it, but this pretty much gives you a very nice commercial look on a trout. It should please most of your customers. I'm going to show this paintless one last time, and thanks for watching the video.